We are now more than halfway through 2026. Some of the games I was most excited for have already arrived, others have release dates, and then there are these five. 5 games still promising some form of 2026 release while refusing to tell me exactly when. 3 of them have already let me play enough to become emotionally invested. 2 are still asking me to survive entirely on trailers, screenshots, and increasingly patient witchcraft. So here are my 5 most anticipated games still to come in 2026, assuming of course that 2026 does not quietly become 2027 while none of us are looking. Number 5 is Grave Seasons. Grave Seasons is a farming and life sim where you play an escaped convict attempting to build a peaceful new life in the mountain town of Ashen Ridge. Unfortunately, someone in town is also a supernatural serial killer. So alongside farming, crafting, foraging, and possibly becoming far too emotionally invested in the local dating pool, you will need to investigate murders, uncover the town's secrets, and find ways to protect potential victims. You have 1 year to identify the killer and save as many people as you can, or apparently let the chaos reign, which feels like an option included specifically for the players who arrive in farming games, plant 47 pumpkins, and immediately begin testing the limits of local law enforcement. I have not played Grave Seasons yet, so this is still anticipation based entirely on the pitch, but it is a very good pitch. Farming games are rarely short on activities. What they sometimes lack is a strong reason for those activities to matter, beyond earning more money so you can buy a slightly larger barn. Here, gathering materials, building relationships, and exploring the town all feed into an actual mystery. The developers are taking the comforting routine of a life sim and placing something actively dangerous inside it. That contrast could create real tension. You are not only choosing who to romance, you may also be trying to determine whether they are about to become a victim or whether you have just spent 3 weeks giving artisanal jam to the murderer. Grave Seasons is currently planned for 2026 with no exact date. Number 4, Witchbrook. Witchbrook may be the biggest known name on this list. It is also the game that has been simmering in the collective imagination for approximately 900 years. Chucklefish and Robotality are promising a witch life sim set in the seaside city of Mossport. You will attend Witchbrook College, learn magic, build relationships, explore the city, and eventually graduate into life as a working witch. The city is supposed to continue living even when you are not watching. Residents have their own jobs, routines, and schedules, with seasonal events moving through the year. It will also support online co-op for up to 4 players. And yes, it looks lovely. The pixel art is detailed, Mossport appears dense and full of personality. The idea of attending classes while also building an entire life across the surrounding city gives Witchbrook a much larger sense of scale than a magical school alone. But Witchbrook is number 4 because I have not played it. Right now, the game is still a beautifully presented promise, and when development has lasted this long, the expectations begin growing their own expectations. I want the schedules to create a genuinely living city. I want the relationships to feel authored. I want attending college to have actual structure rather than becoming a decorative background for fishing, shopping, and collecting 12 different colors of magical turnip. Most importantly, I want Witchbrook to feel like Witchbrook, not simply Stardew Valley in a tiny hat. It remains officially scheduled for 2026 without a specific release date. I am excited, but I am keeping at least one eyebrow raised until someone puts the game in my hands. Number 3, Into the Fire. Into the Fire is the most complicated game on this list because I have played it, I have seen the vision, I have also seen several parts of that vision collide with one another while everything nearby was actively exploding. Into the Fire is a first-person survival and rescue game set across a volcanic archipelago. You enter dangerous eruption zones, search for survivors, manage limited resources, and use a collection of tools to fight both the environment and some very strange creatures. The people you rescue then help expand your survivor hub, giving those missions a larger purpose. This is not another survival game where you punch a tree and slowly establish dominion over the local shrubbery. You are moving toward the disaster. That premise immediately had my attention, and when the playtest worked, it created genuine chaos, lava, smoke, collapsing structures, panicked rescues, and constant pressure from an environment that wanted me extremely dead. But the build I played did need work. The onboarding was rough, some systems were difficult to understand, the balance needed refinement, and several very good ideas had not fully learned to cooperate. Right now, Into the Fire is more smoke than blaze, but the spark is real, and I want to see what happens when it catches. Its planned 2026 release is specifically an early access launch, which makes considerably more sense. The developers and intend to expand the game with additional locations, tools, traversal systems, story content, and an eventual ending throughout development. So this is not blind confidence, it is cautious attention. Into the Fire has already proven that its concept can create something thrilling. Early access now needs to show that the team can shape that chaos into a game strong enough to support it. Number 2, Welcome to Elderfield. I spent more than 10 hours playing the Welcome to Elderfield demo. That remains a ridiculous sentence. Elderfield combines farming, fishing, cooking, exploration, and relationship building with turn-based combat, haunted broadcasts, demon cats, basement secrets, and old god nonsense. Everything is sitting at the same dinner table, casually passing the gravy. What impressed me was not simply that Elderfield is strange, it is that the strangeness reaches into everything. The TV delivers dynamic quests. Gathering resources can trigger enemy encounters. Food, equipment, crafting, and combat all connect. Random events can alter your character, and even the town's broadcasts make the world feel like it has its own nervous system crackling through old speakers. The farming is not sitting on one side while the horror waits politely on the other. The systems whisper to each other. The demo still had areas that needed some polish, particularly around combat information and a few pieces of inventory logic, but those felt like problems sitting on top of a strong foundation. And the game has personality everywhere. There's a giant skeleton who's trapped inside his own home after growing too large to leave. I mean, you might think he could leave, but he doesn't want to damage the heritage woodwork. That is not merely a skeleton. That is a property tax paying homeowner. Welcome to Elderfield calls itself cozy horror, and somehow it has built a world where those two sides genuinely strengthen one another. It is comfortable enough that I want to settle into its routines, but unsettling enough that comfort never feels entirely safe. Elderfield is still targeting 2026 with no specific date, and it is one of the rare games where the demo has already done more than sell me the idea. It sold me the place. Number 1, Songs of Glimmerwick. Songs of Glimmerwick is my most anticipated game, still expected in 2026. This is a story-driven Witch Academy RPG where music is magic. You attend classes, garden, build friendships, explore the island, and use musical spells to interact with the world. That already sounds lovely. Then I played the demo, and it became something much more meaningful. Glimmerwick's magical school exists within a world where music and magic were once taken from people. The school represents survival, resistance, and the return of something that was nearly lost. That history gives everything else weight. Classes are not merely activities. Magic is not simply a mechanic. Even the cozy routines feel connected to a world rebuilding itself. The art is expressive. The voice acting gives the characters immediate personality. The quests are playful, specific, and frequently strange in exactly the right way. They fuse meta humor into the game with complete abandon. An example of that is witches using crystal balls as communication devices and playing what you can only assume is video games on them. Then there's also a sentinel shrub. I loved the sentinel shrub. This is the kind of fantasy nonsense I want. Not random nonsense, confident nonsense. More importantly, the entire game feels cohesive. The music, storytelling, school structure, characters, and mechanics all seem to belong to the same vision. It does not feel like someone assembled a list of popular cozy features and stapled them together. It feels authored. Songs of Glimmerwick is currently scheduled for 2026, although it still has no exact release date. And of every game on this list, this is the one that has left me least patient. The demo did not merely make me curious about what happens next. It made me feel like someone handed me the opening chapters of a fantasy novel, waited until I was completely invested, and then took the rest of the book away. So those are my 5 most anticipated games still to come in 2026. Grave Seasons, Witchbrook, Into the Fire, Welcome to Elderfield, and Songs of Glimmerwick. Some have already proven themselves. Some are still promises, and at least one may require us to keep staring intensely at the calendar until a release date finally appears. But these are the 5 worlds I am still waiting to enter before 2026 closes its doors. And developers, there are only so many months left. Please stop making coming soon do this much emotional labor. Subscribe if you want to stay tuned in, because I will be revisiting these games in the future.